Guys, welcome to part 3. In this episode we're going to get it running, I think. So in part 1 and part 2 it was just the assembly really of the shell. Now the next thing to do, I think, or the first thing to do, is to get this blue light on the roof. And if you look at the picture now, it's somewhere in this location. I'm going to put it in the middle of the roof, just in front of that vent there. So I'll drill the hole, and then we shall make the LED fit the hole, really. Okay, so the next thing to do, well, I'm cheating a little bit, I've already done it, but what you want to do, I'll show you the difference here. The smallest LEDs I could get were 3mm. There's another way of doing this, but this is how I'm doing it just for this one. So that's your standard LED. Now all I've done is I've filed the top of it, being careful not to actually file the inside, the bit that's actually working on the LED. So you can see how I've just filed it down with a little file here. Just being careful, really. And then what you want to do, so I know these are 3 volts and the flat side of the LED is negative, so I'm just going to check this. This isn't the proper way of doing it. There we go. So I know it still works. I haven't filed for anything of the. I haven't filed for any of the bits inside it, which is good. I'll just check this one as well. So that's what it would look like. So hopefully that drill size hole, this should fit roughly. I might need to fettle it because I've literally, as you've just seen, drilled the hole. So it's just protruding just enough. I'll just give it another check. So that's kind of what we're going for here. Although what I might do, because you can see it's lighting up the inside of the cab. That if I paint that black, it won't do that. But that's basically how that's going to be. On this loco, there's a few issues with it. That's why I haven't used it in the past. I'll just show you quick. On the chassis itself, these pins here are actually loose, which doesn't give you a great contact to the motor from the track. But because I want to add a decoder to the police loco, what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to remove these. And what I'm going to do is basically solder wires to the contact patches on the bogies, and so they'll go directly to the decoder, which I'm going to put on the belly, and I'll feed the wires just through underneath here. And then the wires going to the motor will just go through this plate and to either side of the motor. And then the that flashing light that we want, where are we? I'm using a Hornby TTS chip instruction manual here for the colours of the decoder outputs and things like that. The reason being is because the decoder that I want to use, I believe this is a Hornby Sapphire decoder. That's what it reads as on my JMRI software. It works a treat, and the reason I want to use it is because it's got it's got a light output for the auxiliary cab lights, which is what I'm going to wire the police light to. And then at a later date, if I want to, then I've got the forward and I've got directional running lights as well on that same chip. But I'm only worried about the blue flashing light and it running nicely. So that's the plan. You can use whatever decoder you want, really, as long as it fits. But for me, I'm interested in auxiliary function 3, which I know is a green wire, which would be up here. And then I need to wire also to a blue wire. Now that blue flashing light that I've shown you before, I'm going to put a 1 kilo ohm resistor on that as well. Wire it to the green wire, the blue wire, and that's the light. And then let's have a little looky. So this is the standard 8-pin, kind of like what you get on a decoder. So for me, I'm actually using this for right, the black wire is the left hand rail, so I need that, and I need the red wire, which is the right hand rail, so I also need that, and then we need the motor, which is an orange wire, and a grey wire for the motor. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, this blue wire and the green wire. So there's 2 that we're not using yet, and probably not in this video. If I ever wire it up, it'll be in the future, and I can show that in the future, but you've seen me do wiring on other things, so really I'll just get on with wiring this up, and then maybe do a little time lapse, and then we'll show you it in action, hopefully. That's if I don't fry the chip, which is always a risk. So I haven't done it yet, but there's always a first time. So the problem for me at the moment is all these wires there's one here, that one just in there. To me that looks green, but that's actually yellow, having looked online. And this looks to be a very old Hornby Sapphire chip, but it's working a treat. So I normally use this on my test locos and just sort of solder the wires across, but it's quite a forgiving thing. The only reason I'm looking at all the wiring first hand is because there's only 4 pads on this side, and that's how you break it. And then there's 4 wires the other side, so I need to basically desolder the wires because they're pretty knackered, and I'll wire my own ones on. So the idea is the other bogey will come off, and so will this pad and that pad and that and that. There's 2 pads under there. Take them off. Like I say, I'll solder onto these, so we get a real nice connection from the track to the decoder. And yeah, we'll go from there. Cue the time lapse. Okay, so obviously it's not the neatest of jobs. I'm just trying to get the thing sort of together and running, but hopefully in time lapse you could see what I was kind of doing there. So the bogies are all wired together, and then there's a left hand and right hand track basically coming up through here. These 2 I'm holding, the short red one there and this blue one, and then the motor actually goes to this blue and this black. So I'm not keeping the colour code in at the moment. I just need to remember which wires do which. We've got a little hole in the base there so that when this chip is in, the wires can feed through. So the next thing really is I think I'm just going to work out which wires do which on this, and feed some more wires through for the light and things. Okay, so I think I've wired it up. You can see the wire in there. It's not the best in the world. It's not going to win any awards, but it's in. Hopefully, it's wired up properly as well. Now it does sit ever so proud, but it's not enough to hit the track. So I've just held that down with a bit of blue tack for the time being. Now what I'm going to do is just test this on the track to make sure the loco does work. Now these two wires I've left out here, I'll just put a bit of, I say blue tack, it's like white tack. I'm just going to stick these out of the way so they're not going to get stuck in the track, and I'm just going to give this thing a test, because like I said earlier, it's important to see if there's any issues. Now is the time to find them out. So we'll give this a quick check, program it up, and see what we got. Okay, so here's the first test. I've just powered it up, so let's just see if it moves. Fingers crossed. Nothing so far. Oh dear. Oh, okay. Ah, good. Alright, that's good. Just bring her back. Cool. Alright. Sweet. Alright, she's good. She's a goer. That's good. That's really good. Was not expecting that at all, because I've just literally slapped that together. The next thing to do is, I'm not going to wire the shell up. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to put a 1 kilo ohm resistor on the lead and wire it to this LED and just test the functionality of it separate to the shell for the time being. Because, mainly, if the 1 kilo ohm resistor isn't enough, which it should be, it will blow the LED. Now, because I've spent a bit of time filing the other LED down and that's on the shell, that would suck, because that means I've got to then file another LED down. So what I'm going to do is we'll just test this LED, and we'll be back shortly. Okay, so I've had a bit of a play. It took me a while to work this out. Basically, on the Hornby TTS chips, the auxiliary channel that I was after was somewhere around function 25. Now on this one, it's actually on function 1, so I'll turn the light off. And there we go, we've got a flashing light. So that is function 1. Okay, so we're back again. Now, I've wired up the LED on the roof, so now the next thing to do is actually to check it. So fingers crossed. Yep. It looks really bright like this. There you go, that's a bit better. That's more what I'm seeing off camera. But to eliminate all the light inside, looks like he's having a little disco, eh? I'm going to paint the inside black before clicking the shell down, and I think that'll be about it for all the internal stuff. So cool, yeah, we have a flashing light. I'll just turn that off, and it's no biggie really. The paint on the inside, I might just paint it with some black acrylic that I've got kicking around. It's odourless, so it doesn't smell inside the house, so that's a good one. You could always permanent marker pen it on the inside, but it's not as the coverage isn't as good. So I'll get some black paint and paint that up and get the shell on. Now, tell a lie, I was going to paint this, but I've actually got some white tack, and I'm curious to see whether this will do the same thing. It's kind of less permanent. So I'm just going to work it around and see what we get in a second. And again, whatever you're doing, just keep testing the loco really, because me putting this in here like this, I might disturb a wire and it might become disconnected, and then it won't work until it's too late and you've put the shell back on for good. mean, it's easy enough to take the shell off, but there you go. See, point proven. The wire's just come off. So luckily, I soldered that back on. But that's what I mean. Like, things can change. Now, if I'd just painted that, I would have had to wait for it to dry a little bit. Back on there. That was probably just because my soldering wasn't that great. I'm hoping though that this does work quite well. Now granted, this wouldn't be everyone's sort of like, oh wow, that's an amazing job thing, but the thing is, if it works, doesn't it? You don't necessarily see the blob of white tack in the windows because it's so small. So I'm just trying to stop the light bleeding out, to be honest. Okay, so we're back, and there we go. She's working, and I can turn the light on and off. There you go. Now I'm just going to let it run around the track for a little bit. Not necessarily to run in, it's just I'm going to play with it. So, enjoy. Well, thanks for watching. This concludes part 3 of the Police Class 37, and it's come out right so far, I think. I'm not going to do a part 4 unless I find myself doing a lot more work, which, to be honest, I need to do some work on the front and on the rear to sort of give it either lights or just detail the front. The more detail you add to a loco, I think it hides some of the blemishes and things on some of the paintwork. There's definitely some vents on the top that needs a bit of dust work in. But that being said, I might add this loco into a video where it's like weathering a loco, but we'll see. You will see this loco again in the future because I have another video planned for this along with the HST, maybe a few other HSTs, wink wink. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully my randomness of videos ain't throwing you too much, because these are all sort of things that I want to be doing with my N-Gage. There's you know, like I fitted a sound chip into a HST, but I've got to do about another 10 of those, and I think once you've seen it, you've kind of seen them all, so I won't show any more of those. But as far as this goes, the decoder I've used is the Hornby Sapphire, the early one, and it works really quite well. I'm quite surprised. This train, that chassis has been sat for ages. I think I cleaned it up and then it wasn't suitable to be sort of mint, so I just left it to one side. But having pulled this contact off and soldering directly to the bogies and going to the decoder, this thing it hasn't got any issues over the track, because it's picking up power from all the wheels, and there's no potential points of fail from the bogies to the chassis, so that seems to have worked alright. But yeah, I've put some grease on the gears so it's quieting down a little bit, and I've put the back EMF up on the decoder so that it will, in fact I'll show you this. I'll just crawl it forwards ever so slightly. That's the standard Graham Farish motor. I'll go backwards. Obviously it's grumbling a little bit, but I don't mind that. Amazing. Amazing. There you go. And I've got control over the lights separate to the loco, which is nice. So I'm unsure whether I'm going to put directional lights actually on the loco yet, because they are quite a lot of work to wire in. But the book's still open on that one. So thank you very much for watching, and I don't know what the next video is gonna be, but let's just stay dynamic with it, and hopefully see you in the next video. Cheers for watching. Bye.